The launching of a ship is a wonderful thing to see. After months of construction and years of planning, she's now ready to be christened. It's an exciting moment. She's away, and may God bless her. It will not be long now before she joins her sister ships in one of America's most vital industries, our merchant marine. Ships of our merchant marine sail to all parts of the world, carrying cargoes, the lifeblood of trade, so necessary in promoting good relationships among peaceful nations. For over 30 years now, I've been sailing the seven seas. About half of that time, I've been master of my own ships. With more than 1 million sea miles behind me, I naturally think I have a few ideas about places and people and how we can all learn to live just a little better as world neighbors. Going to sea today is quite different than in the old days. As a passenger, you can enjoy all the comforts of home and a great deal more, much more. Yes, to be a passenger on a beautiful ocean liner is great fun, but more important are the rich cargo to and from all parts of the world. You'll find goods of every description, every size and shape, everything from toothpaste to typewriters, from canned fruit to cotton goods, from rubber tires to diesel locomotives. You name it, it will be there. For every item, no matter how large or how small, it all adds up to world cargoes, moving constantly along the sea lanes of commerce. Men of all ages have explored the seven seas in search of things that they have needed, things that they have desired. The great cities of the world were first trade centers, and most of them close to the sea. Athens, Alexandria, Naples, Lisbon, Bombay, Yokohama, Hong Kong, Bangkok, Singapore. Singapore, that's a very colorful place to start our story. It is early morning, and the sun has just come up over the Gulf of Siam. We're in a Malaysian rubber plantation. You know, rubber trees must be tapped in the morning when it's relatively cool, because the sap flows more freely at that time. Natural rubber, as you probably know, has qualities which keep it competitive with synthetic rubber. And very often these two are used together to make a better product. But after a few hours, the rubber milk is collected and processed, rolled into sheets, then dried and baled for shipment overseas. These bales are bounced into lighters to be brought to our ship for their long journey to America. Did you know that tin is one of the best friends a woman ever had? Tin has given her a freedom she would otherwise never have known, thanks to the tin can. Much of our tin comes from Southeast Asia, where great minds are constantly working to help supply the needs of the world. The refined pure tin is molded into ingots, and across the seas they come, bound for the manufacturer and eventually your grocer's shelves. As America's great deposits of iron ore are depleted and our needs for steel constantly increase, we must import millions of tons of ore from other countries. But tin and iron are only two of the many basic metals we need from abroad. Metals such as zinc, copper, lead, manganese, tungsten, nickel, and bauxite, which, as you know, becomes aluminum, which is being used more and more in the manufacture of cans. And what would we do without oil? Oil for heating, lubricating, and for the power for our diesel engines and the gasoline for our automobiles, and fuel for jet planes. Oil flows into America from many sources: Indonesia, the Persian Gulf, South America, Alaska. Have you ever taken a really good look at your grocer's shelves? Just think of all of the romance and the exploration, the travel and trade back of those spices and seasonings. Pepper and cinnamon, nutmeg and vanilla, cloves and paprika, bay leaves and mustard, cocoa, coffee, tea. Tea? Well, there's a colorful story for you. This is the beautiful hill country of Ceylon, where much of the world's best tea is grown. But only a few leaves are plucked at a time. They must be just right to bring the best price from the English and American markets. Coffee is grown in the hills of several Latin American countries. Like the tea industry, millions of people are employed to grow, to process, and to deliver the coffee to your grocer's shelves. Now just think of what that means in terms of tonnage and world trade dollars. Now, perhaps some of us would be better off if we used less sugar. But I can't imagine a world without sugar, can you? Much of our sugar comes from tropical countries and is usually shipped in a raw state to be refined later. The hold of this ship, loading in Hawaii, is filled right up to the steel beams. Bananas, of course, come mostly from Central America. But did you know that the banana trade requires fleets of ships to supply our needs? And do you know from where cashew nuts come? Well, cashew nuts are just about the most traveled nuts in the world. Tons of them are grown in Africa, and then they're shipped to the Malabar coast of India, where they are processed and packed for shipment overseas, mostly to America, 10,000 miles away. Cargoes of tuna come to us from Japan, but the fish are not caught in Japanese waters. Japanese fishing vessels roam the seas far from home to supply this industry, whose canned product is sold largely to American buyers. A delicious commodity of world trade and shipping is the pineapple. The story of its cultivation, its processing, and its distribution is a splendid example of American initiative and industry. Everyone benefits from world trade. Here's that can again. The coconut tree is just about the world's most useful tree, for it provides food, fuel, clothing, and shelter for many millions of people who live in tropical countries. The rich oil of the coconut, pressed from the dried meat called copra, is important to everyone, no matter where he lives, for it is the basic ingredient of many soaps and margarines. Now, while the oil is being pressed from the copra and made ready for storage in special tanks on board ship, let's take a look at another important product with which we are all familiar: desiccated or shredded coconut. It's used in candy and cookies and pies and cakes. Hemp starts out in life as abaca, a brother of the banana plant. Its stringy fibers are tough and strong. Synthetics like nylon and polyesters are competitors, but still, tons of hemp are shipped into the United States each year to be made into rope and twine, and for the manufacture of those little bags for tea, and big bags for vacuum cleaners, for carpeting and mats, and many other products. As a seafaring man, I've always appreciated those rugged qualities of good hemp lines and hawsers on board my ships. Also from the tropics, we Americans import shiploads of beautiful hardwoods to be used in the manufacture of fine furniture. Here's 1,000 Japanese fishing poles for 1,000 American Tom Sawyers. Bamboo and its brother rattan have many uses. Just look around you. And cotton? That's a versatile fiber used for clothing by people everywhere in the world. We Americans import cotton as well as export cotton. It's largely a matter of quality and the length of the fiber. Different people have different needs. And as for the competition from synthetics, cotton too will be with us for a long, long time to come. From other ports of call come animal hides, goat hair, plumbago and graphite, gelatong and gutta percha, gum benzoin and jute. Elephants, of course, are usually treated like passengers. Their destination? American circuses, carnivals, and zoos. What is this lady doing? She's diving for oysters. Japanese oysters, which are cultivated for pearls. Inexpensive, beautiful pearls for all the lovely ladies in the world. Ceylon is famous not only for her elephants, but for precious stones as well. These stones are mined in the same way that they were 1,000 years ago. History tells us that seafarers of ancient times came to Ceylon, to Lanka, for gems and spices. Columbus was searching for a westward passage to this bountiful part of the world when he stumbled upon America. Slowly, patiently, the rough stones are polished. And from this primitive machine, the beauty is finally revealed. Sapphires, emeralds, rubies, everything but diamonds, most of which come from South Africa. For centuries, the Indonesians have been making a beautiful fabric called batik. This lady is applying hot wax on those areas of the cloth which she does not wish to be colored when she dips the cloth in dye. Now, this process is patiently repeated for each separate color after removing the previous wax application. The final result is a creation of beauty, whether it's on cotton or on silk. Silk has always been one of the more glamorous imports from the Orient. Although synthetic fibers are popular today, we still use large quantities of silk because so many people appreciate its full-bodied and luxurious qualities. From the bazaars of the Orient and the Middle East, our ships bring rugs and carpets right out of Scheherazade. And from the Middle East, hand-wrought creations of brass, silver, and gold. The countries of the Mediterranean supply us with a wealth of art in every form. Perhaps your mother or your grandmother has a cameo from southern Italy. Cameos are hand-carved seashells. Now, they may not be important tonnage-wise, but they're priceless when it comes to beauty and sentiment. And from these same ports of call, our ships bring handmade laces and linens, dear to the heart of every woman, young or old. European countries supply us with olive oil and cheese, typewriters and motor cars, champagne, rich perfumes. The list is endless. From all over the world, these valuable cargoes are constantly flowing into America. And not only do these imports benefit us, but they provide the dollars overseas which enable people in other lands to buy our American products. Remember, world trade is a two-way street, and that healthy world trade benefits everyone. Most of the people in the world live on rice, and most rice is grown underwater. The work of irrigating the rice is a continuous struggle which consumes the energies of millions of people. In India, this farmer spends a good part of each day treading a wheel to nowhere so that his rice will have sufficient water and so that he and his family will not go hungry. And in other places, too, it's the same old story. The constant battle to raise life-giving water to thirsty crops. Just think how a simple powered pump could help these hard-working people. Too much water or too little water, that has been one of man's greatest problems since he first learned to cultivate his crops thousands of years ago. Too many plows still in use today are made of wood based on a design which was familiar before the Bible was written. And to plant one's crops by hand seems even more archaic. Just think of the human energy and time and misery that goes into mere drudgery the world over, and often for such a pitiful return. A mere handful of small fish, not really enough to feed a large family. And in many parts of the world, people still use their heads to carry heavy loads. Wearily, these salt workers tread out their lives in the hot sun, without relief, without hope. Why, you may ask, in this age of miracles, when man can walk on the moon, must human beings anywhere continue to work as machines or as beasts of burden? The answer must be found, and soon. America is one of the nations answering the needs of developing countries in a forceful, positive manner, bringing her resources, her brains and brawn into triumphant action, forging new tools for other peoples of the world to use. One of the best things about world trade is that while helping people overseas to help themselves, it gives work and it earns money for our people here at home. That's a very important part of world trade, a very important part. Many people think of world trade as something far too big to understand clearly. But it's quite simple when one considers that world trade is essentially based on the ancient law of supply and demand. Did you know that half of the world's people go to bed hungry every night? Now, to help relieve this terrible condition, American wheat, other American farm products are constantly moving abroad. Hungry people must be fed. That is the demand. And America is a huge source of supply. Supply the demand. World trade is as simple as that. Supply and demand. From our fields and our farms, from our factories and production centers, there moves a steady stream of cargoes flowing toward our port cities to be loaded on board ship for their journeys overseas. And in many port cities, there are new terminal facilities being built to increase the efficiency and to speed the movement of cargoes both inbound and outbound. The job of stowing a ship is really a science. Each part, each move is highly important to the successful outcome, or outturn as we call it, of a ship's voyage. Cargoes must be stowed so that they will not interfere with each other in the many ports of call. There are 1,001 details which only long experience and good judgment can master. All commodities have peculiarities of their own, and they must be handled with care and competence at all times. One of the greatest developments in cargo handling in recent years has been containerization, a system which enables the shipper to pack huge boxes at the source, not to be opened until they reach their destinations. Now, almost any commodity can be shipped in these sturdy containers. All of them save time and cost in handling, which, as you can see, is accomplished with the help of special equipment both on the dock and on the ship. On clock-like schedules, American ships depart on their various sea routes, linking ports around the world with those at home. Now, these sea routes have been established by government agreement to provide the best service possible. We Americans aren't exactly what you might call landlubbers. We have a glorious maritime history, of which we may all be proud. Ships and shipping have helped to make America strong. Our seamen know their business, from the topmast to the keel, from the bow to the stern, and it's always been that way. But changes are constantly being made. Seafaring today has become a highly technical business, using the latest equipment available, making American ships the safest and the most efficient on any ocean. Through fair weather and foul, our ships move across the seas steadily, keeping their schedules. And always there's the anticipation of ports of call beyond the horizon ahead, and important work to be done. Some of our ships go right through the jungles to deliver their cargoes. When I head into a port like this, I really appreciate my job as captain of an American ship, because I know that I'm helping people at home as well as overseas by carrying cargoes which benefit everyone involved, directly and indirectly. Now, if there's any doubt how useful our American cargoes can be, just take a look at what is happening and has been happening for many years in many parts of the world. This husky bulldozer will soon be at work obliterating a tropical jungle recently cleared of malarial mosquitoes to provide new farmland for a needy people. It's the same everywhere when new ideas and equipment are put to work helping people to help themselves. More and more equipment and supplies will be needed as people build for their present and their future needs. Those of us who go to sea are constantly reminded that world trade is a basis for world peace. We also realize that world trade is a two-way street. The people who buy our products must sell us some of theirs. This is the essence of a healthy world trade. People that trade together do not make war. As a ship's captain, I've had a unique opportunity to see with my own eyes the results of a healthy commerce between America and other nations of the world. And I've always felt that trade is better than aid, that mutual endeavor is better than one man or a nation being in debt to another. No man likes to be placed in a position of receiving alms or gifts. He wants to earn his way as an individual. That is his God-given right. Beyond the need to move world cargoes efficiently and profitably, there are other things which are important too. And most everyone knows or should know that Americans have been helping many foreign people to develop their own resources and their capabilities for many, many years. We have shared with these people our own vital resources, our manpower, and our technical knowledge. And as a nation, we have given of our wealth, we've given of our good fortune, and of our food. We have even helped former enemies to survive and to prosper. In a truly remarkable sense, thousands of individual Americans have given of their energies, their time, their knowledge as teachers, doctors, nurses, technicians, advisors, friends. Like the missionaries of old, we Americans find meaning in helping others not so fortunate as ourselves. Those of us who have not been able to contribute our personal services abroad have cooperated in many helpful projects by providing cargoes of books, seeds, tools, medical supplies, 1,001 different things, without expectation of payment, just a friendly word of appreciation. Now, this spirit of helpful goodwill is truly an American condition, and one of which we may all be proud. Have we made friends overseas? My answer is a positive yes. Every hour of the day, every day of the week, 365 days a year, American ships are performing a most important task in the great brotherhood of man by carrying across the 7 seas vital world cargoes of goods as well as of human understanding.